Do you think investors are safe putting capital to work these days?
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. You use the word safe because, names like Clorox and defensive names have already been, I think, picked over, and I think they're fully valued. I'd rather go with strong growth names that are trading at reasonable prices or historically, 15-year trough multiples and put money to work in those types of names. And that's what we're doing in our Villere funds.
So some examples might be?
We love a company called eHealth. We love a company called Teleflex. Very, very strong balance sheet, very, very strong. They even make, ventilators this particular moment and pure play medical device company. And we love a company called Steris that's going to do well in this environment. I think also do pretty well, looking out the next 2 and 3 years, which I think is how investors really should be looking at this particular moment.
Yana, would you also be looking at healthcare right now?
Absolutely. I think healthcare fits into a hybrid bucket of both growth and defensive play. And even with healthcare being the best performer since we reached the peak of the market through this decline, there are areas of the healthcare space like healthcare services and even some of the medtech device names that he mentioned that have actually lagged. So both valuation support and long-term secular growth is really good there. I would also add information technology, consumer, communication services to the list. There's been a disproportionate sell-off. While correlations have peaked at over 85%, I think that the degree of the sell-off has not been the same. So I really think this is a time to be very selective when you're thinking about long-term positioning, lots of opportunities.
Any one example you could give in terms of communication services?
Communication services has a lot of examples. Obviously, within the media space, there's been a disproportionate sell-off. So some of the new guys are doing a little bit better with streaming. But look at Netflix versus Disney, right? Completely different price performance, yet similar businesses to a certain extent. We're pretty active across the board. I would also add consumer discretionary. So e-commerce globally is still less than 15%, and we're doing most of our shopping online these days. So these trends are only going to accelerate. Streaming, consumer spending on online, and others within the communication. Think of how you and I are communicating right now. That's not going away.
I was thinking about, are you using a UV light on those packages? Are you putting your mail in the oven? I mean, the stuff people are doing to make sure their deliveries are safe. Sandy, I actually want to turn to you on a different note and go back to something kind of right up your alley that we heard from Craig Callahan last hour. I asked him who he typically favored some of the larger companies and technology and other sectors. He said, when he kind of screens the market, to him, small and mid-cap value jumps out. He didn't really have a reason for that. But is there anything in terms of seeing deep value that has your attention in that segment of the market here, too?
Yeah, anytime you look yesterday, the Russell 2000 was down 7%. It's certainly underperformed the S&P 500 by maybe as much as 10%. So I think as you lead into a recession, and I think these things are getting compressed to where we might be going to a recession quickly, and the market's already discounting, maybe even coming out of that since it's forward-looking. But I think a lot of the value is in small cap that is really underperformed. And remember, it leads coming out of a recession. So I think there's lots of opportunities there. And if people look closely, they're going to see a lot of dislocations. And that's exactly where opportunities are and where money is really made over the long run.
When is the last time that part of the market led?
I guess I'd have to go back about 4 or 5 years to see where it really did. We had actually a 2-year run where small caps did extremely well, and I think we can, as we come out of this recession, it depends on where you think the number of cases are peaking and where you think we are in that cycle. But I believe if you can be very careful and buy these names that are completely dislocated, you're going to look pretty smart when we talk about this about a year from now.
Yeah, it's just. Like you said, it might just be a rough ride for a little while. How are you disinfecting mail?
It's kind of funny. We're here in New Orleans, so we're a bit kind of in the epicenter here, and our cases are supposed to peak around April 15th. But we take our Amazon packages and we put them on next to the barbecue pit outside and let them bake in the sun for a little bit of time, and then we take them in. So that's how we're doing things here in New Orleans.
Not a bad idea. As our temperatures warm up, I'm going to keep that in mind. Yana, you got a grill handy?
I don't, but I have a garage, so that works as well.
Very good. Appreciate your time today. Guys, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.